All right, man. That was the legendary Ted Wizard Mills on lead vocals on that song by Blue Magic. And let me please give you. First of all, this is my good friend now. I'm a fan too. Even though we friends, he knows I'm a fan of his, and I support everything that he does. And he's been doing it since the late '70s as a musician, and he's still doing it at a high level. Please welcome to the show, singer, songwriter, producer, and the new one of the new members of the group. Not just what he formerly Blue Magic, but he's now with Cliff Perkins and Soul Generation. Remember that big song called what's the name of the song, Ross?
$1 million.
There you go. And what's the other one?
Body and soul.
There you go. He's a new member of the group Soul Generation, and I think their first show's coming up later on this month, or is that May? May 30th in Washington, D.C.?
May 30th, yes, May 30th.
There you go, man. Pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure hanging out with you, Michael.
Same here, same here. So let me hit you with some questions early on. When did the singing bug hit you, and how difficult is it actually to play bass?
That's a good question. I started early. My mother bought me a piano when I was 8 years old, which I still have, matter of fact. And then around 13, she bought me a bass guitar. The first song I learned was Thin Line Between Love and Hate. That bass line was very catchy, and I learned how to play it, and I just went on from there.
Wow, wow. And so gotta ask you, who were some of your musical heroes that played bass? Not just bass, but also singers.
Well, if you want to talk about bass, we got to talk about Larry Johnson from the Brothers Johnson. Before him, Larry Graham, two very good bass players, and Stanley Clark, the genius, was on bass as well. Marcus Miller, he's from Queens, my hometown.
He sure is. He sure is.
I can go on and on, but those were my favorites. And what was the other part of your question? I'm sorry.
When did you know you can sing?
Well,
when did you know? Because some people can sing, but sing for real, sing.
Well,
sing. Not just in the shower.
Yes, very true. I guess when I got some applause from people, it took a little while. Matter of fact, my first band was called Shades of Soul. That was back in Jamaica, Queens, back in the '70s, and we were doing all kind of music. We did Black Ivory. We did all the popular songs back in the day. So once I started playing with the band, and I realized I could sing a little bit. I think that's around the '70s is when it really started hitting me. Yeah.
It's funny. What's ironic is the fact that Blue Magic, before there was Blue Magic, was called the Shades of Soul.
You know what? That's some history that you got there.
It is, man. That's very ironic, sir.
Yeah, you did your due diligence.
That is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Actually,
no, actually, I'm sorry. I had that wrong, Ross. It was the Shades of Love. That's what it was called, the Shades of Love, and then it became Blue Magic when they got the record deal.
Right, we were the Shades of Soul, yeah.
Yeah, and very early on with your band, this was like 1980, right in that area, right? 80, 81, you guys opened up for Blue Magic, that you ended up singing with.
No, that's not true. I wish it was, but it's not. The bass playing was in the '70s, and in 1980, I met Blue Magic. Matter of fact, if I could take you very quickly to '74 is when they first came to Queens at a club called BG's Manor. A lot of popular groups played there. Touch of Class, Brass Construction, and I went to go see Blue Magic perform there, and I was an instant fan. I mean, the clothes were immaculate, the steps were, you couldn't take your eyes off them, and of course Ted Mills on lead and the rest of the guys singing. It was just a complete package, and I wanted to be like them. Fast forward to 1980, and they used to perform in a club called Town Hill 2 in Brooklyn. And I would go see them there, and I wound up becoming friends with them. And we're still friends today. Some of the guys are still around for over 40-something years.
Right.
Fast forward to 2020 when COVID hit. I had retired by then. In 2022, I got a message from Keith Beaton from Blue Magic. And that's when it all started for me. He wanted me in the group, and I passed the audition, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that's amazing because like to go back and see the pictures of you guys from the early '80s, those are some really great pictures, and I was like, wow. And you must have kept them in really, really tip-top condition because it looked like you just shot them those pictures like yesterday. That's how
Well,
clear they are.
they were my favorite group, and like I said, I go back to '74 with them over 40 something years, and the fact that I became a member is even more amazing. Yeah.
Right. And even outside of Blue Magic, I mean, with your band, you open up for other acts as well, correct? I believe you open up for Sky as well, right?
Well, didn't open up for Sky, but as a matter of fact, the ladies of Sky, the Dunning sisters, Dolores, Bonnie, and Denise, they came down and did some stuff with us for a short period of time. And we're talking early 70s, I'll say, yeah, early 70s. But they went on to become, members of Sky, and they did their thing. But yeah, they were with us 1st.
That's super history right there. That's super
Mm-hmm.
duper history.
Mm-hmm.
Super history. And with Blue Magic, and what were some of your favorite songs to sing and perform by Blue Magic?
Well, I sang falsetto back in the early '70s, and that was the sound, the high falsetto with Russell Tompkins with stylistics, Leroy Burgess, of course, with Black Ivory, the Delphonics with the Hart Brothers. So that was the sound back then. So when Blue Magic came along and I heard Ted Mills, I had to go see them. And he did something that I didn't see the other guys do. He held those high notes for like 14, 15 seconds, and that was just unbelievable to see. And to do that over and over again, I still admire him for having that talent. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some incredible stuff right there. And I used to see this in my own way, but who were some of your musical influences growing up before you got into singing?
Um, Before, of course, everybody loved the Jackson Five. I was a big J5 fan. Had a chance to meet them later on, matter of fact. Stevie Wonder, and I also like Jimi Hendrix too. I was off into rock music, playing the bass. I used to like Jimi Hendrix, and yeah, all of Motown. You can't go wrong with Motown. Who didn't love Motown back then? So
That's true.
yeah, I came up like everybody else. Started in church, of course, and then got into the secular music, and the next thing you know, I'm performing it.
Right. That's true. Man. Yeah, so that's some good stuff, man. I'm not sure. Lester, are you around?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. I'm just
Yeah, because
listening to all the history.
yeah,
Just soaking it in.
I'm waiting for you to jump into this too.
Nah, well, well, one question is because you was hitting some real good points. Is Mr. Ross, do you come from a musical family background?
Um, my mother sang in church. My father sang, here and there. He wasn't an actual artist, but that's the crux of the matter. Like I said, she would bring me to church, and I sang in church as well. So that's where it basically started from.
Hmm. Okay. And how long did you tour with Blue Magic? And what were some of the high points of those times?
Wow. Like I said, I got the call from Keith, well, the message from Keith Beaton in 2022, and I went to two auditions with them with Wendell Sawyer, he also the original member, and two other fellas, and I got the job with them. Matter of fact, my first show was in California with Blue Magic, and I was on stage, shared the stage with Russell Tompkins Jr. and Stylistics, Peaches and Herb, and I'm friends with them to this day. I mean, I'm like the kid in the candy store, to see and being around the people that you listen to on the radio, and you go to see their shows. For me to actually share the stage with them, I'm still in awe. I mean, I met so many famous people by being in Blue Magic that I would not have met, had I not been in the group. So God has blessed me with the opportunity. They were my favorite group. Like I said, I've known them saw them in '74, became friends with them in 1980, and for me to be a part of the group was just a dream come true for me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And and you know what, Ross, real quick, let's talk a little bit about the late great Keith Beaton. Keith wanted you to be in the group, and he knew that at some point he wasn't going to live too much longer, but
Right.
he wanted you over anybody else to be a new member of Blue Magic. What did that mean for you to get that from him? especially what he was going through toward the end of his life, and that must have
Yeah,
meant a lot to you.
yeah. It's a touchy thing for me because, like I said, from seeing them start off in '74 in Jamaica, Queens, and then here we go, I think 40 something years later, and for him to contact me, I would speak with Keith very sparingly. I would talk more with Wendell Sawyer than Keith. So when he contacted me, I was surprised. I didn't see it coming, but he saw something in me, and I appreciate that. Remember, he was the choreographer for the group, so
Absolutely.
I really had to come with it. I had to represent him and make him look good. So I learned the steps as best as I could. Matter of fact, I got a lot of YouTube videos, and I knew the
Oh yeah,
song. But those steps, that Keith came with they were very, very difficult to
intricate.
learn. Yeah, that's a good word.
They
Yeah,
were.
but I learned it. I did it. I mastered it. I became good at it, and it was like it was like no problem after that. And then once I mastered and got on stage, we were off to the races after that. We were one of the hottest groups around. I was with them for a little more than 3 years. Matter of fact, 2 years, man, from 2022 to 2024. And then Keith wasn't well. He still wanted to perform, so I would, help him on stage, and he would sit down, and I would be right next to him. Yeah, it's a very sentimental moment for me because, like I said, he was one of my heroes, and for him to even, get me in the group, was just a dream come true. So, when I spoke at his funeral, I told him, he made a 15-year-old kid's dream come true, and that's very true. I mean, this doesn't happen to everybody, more or less me. So I can't thank him for enough to give me that opportunity to be in one of the top groups in my life, and I'll never forget him for that. He really didn't have to do. There was a lot of guys who wanted that spot, trust me. And when he got with me and said, I want you in the group, I had to make sure I did right by him, and I think I did.
Absolutely. No, you did. You absolutely did. We have videotape to prove it.
Yeah, so,
By yours truly.
yeah, you did record a lot of our stuff. Yeah.
But let me ask you, Chris. I know Blue Magic over the years have performed overseas a gazillion times. Did you guys ever get a chance to perform overseas with your tenor with Blue Magic?
That's one of the things we didn't didn't get a chance to do. I had a connection in the Philippines for us, but we didn't get to go. It didn't pan out. So that's one of the things I missed out on was the overseas work. But we did a lot of stuff on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. Um, but the jobs dried up right around March of 2024. Matter of fact, our last show was in March of 2024. Yeah, so there was no more work after that. So I had to make a decision.
Right, and that decision came in the form of Lionel Richie. You want to speak about that?
Well, you know, I don't see it, but people say I look like Lionel, and we would use that ruse on stage
No,
during
you look,
introductions.
I'm not gay or anything like that. And I don't knock anybody being gay, but you look better than Lionel Richie.
Well, thank you, Michael. I'll give you $20 when we hang up, okay? But yeah, I kind of ran with that when the music dried up. In fact, if I can backtrack a little bit to the early part of 2024, we were in California. We performed there, and a producer out there saw me, and she's wondering why I didn't sing as much as everybody else, and I couldn't answer the question. But I had planned on doing the Lionel Richie experience. I had already had a show booked for myself in June of 2024. So she took me under when we ran out of work in March. She took me under her wing, and I started doing shows in California, doing the Lionel experience. I headlined in Vegas. Most of my work was in California. I'm trying to get over here on the East Coast now that I'm back. It's been tough, but it's starting to slowly open up now. But then out of nowhere, as you know the story, Cliff Perkins contacted me and gave me the opportunity to sing with Soul Generation, so I couldn't turn that down.
Right, Soul Generation, another one of the early '70s R&B greats. And just in case you don't know about Soul Generation or any of the people listening to the show right now, Google them. They had two big hits, but what I can speak about Cliff Perkins, he actually had a tryout with the New York Yankees back in the 1960s as a farmhand. It didn't work out for him. He used to play football as well. He almost could have made the NFL. That kind of didn't work either, but he was better in baseball than I think he was in football. But I think the thing with Cliff Perkins, a lot of people forget. You remember when the Moments were the Moments, and then they left Sylvia Robinson to go on their own. They couldn't take the name the Moments. They had to change the name to their names, Ray, Goodman, and Brown. And at that point, Cliff Perkins joined Sylvia Robinson and became the New Moments. It didn't last long, but they had one or two hits with them. So I don't know if you knew that. I'm sure you did, but if you didn't, I just told you something you didn't know.
Well, well, and I'm sure that the listeners would love to hear that history too. But Cliff is one of the few people that's left that still can sing in that high falsetto voice. Um, he can still sing like the record. Um, his steps are amazing. I mean, I really admire his tenacity. You know, at his age, to be out here doing what he's doing, and it's just an honor for me to share the stage with him. And I'm still doing the Lionel Richie experience as well, but in between that, and doing Soul Generation, I'm a kid in the candy store right now.
Right. No, no. And it's funny. I sent on the producer of the Troy Lester show, Veronica, the clip that we did at Eminem last September. So she was going crazy off of that footage. But
Yeah,
I
that
said,
was
yeah,
great.
you sound better than Lionel Richie doing Lionel Richie. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Well, I'm not going to say that. I'll leave that up to the fans. I try to do my best. You know, I had a chance to meet Lionel, as a matter of fact, in 1990. Um, and it was interesting to see somebody that you admire and you kind of look like. So uh, I'm just glad that I'm able to do it and be good at it and entertain the people. So we're going to keep this momentum going as long as we can. Yeah.
Absolutely. We all look forward to it as well. And let me ask you another question. Do you enjoy singing the up tempo stuff, or do you enjoy singing the ballads? Because I know we all love ballads, especially the ladies love the ballads. What do you like the best?
That's a very good question. I am more of a balladeer, but being in this business, you have to be versatile. You know, when you're first coming up, you learn to play everything. You learn to play all different kind of music, especially if you have a band. So I can go either way. I can perform fast songs as well as slow songs. But if I had a preference, I like the slower music. You know, it's more emotion involved. The ladies love it, and you want that genuine reaction when you perform. So yeah, I like the slow song myself.
Absolutely. You want to talk about when we did a few years ago when we did the club out there in Long Island and you did your Lionel Richie experience?
Oh, yeah, well, that was as I was telling you earlier. I had planned on doing that while I was with Magic. It was one of my things I planned on doing once I left, and we had that show booked for June of 2024. My last show was March of 2024 with Magic, so it was kind of perfect, and it went well. It sold out. Um, People had an amazing time. They want me to come back and do it again. Yeah, it was really special because that show I actually produced myself. First time I produced a show myself, and it was successful. And like I said, people really enjoyed themselves. So that that's something I'd like to revisit again. Maybe sometime in the near future. Yeah.
Yeah, and the venue was Sparkles on stage, correct?
Yes. Sparking on stage.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
and
And this is the
that
thing
people,
is as much as you're doing this music thing, let's speak a little bit about your son who's working with some big people like Case, the legendary Case, and others. Let's talk about the son a little bit because, like I said, the
oh,
apple don't fall too far from the tree. I guess.
yeah, he doesn't like me talking about it too much, but I'm proud of him. His name is Elijah Ross, and he's actually born on my birthday. If that's crazy enough for you. And his main thing is he works with Chris Brown. He got a Grammy uh, this year or last year rather for working with Chris Brown, but he also works with a lot of other artists. Case was somebody that he was able to have access to. His brother, he does a lot of major parties in Manhattan, and it was his birthday, so he contacted Case and he came down. But yeah, he's doing some really big things. Matter of fact, he's got another album out with a new up and coming artist. I don't know the name, but he's doing some big things. I'm really proud of him. Yeah.
That's great. Like I said, man, I'm sure you guided him through that, and I guess it always feels good as a father, to know that your son's either going to have something to do with what you did in the music industry as well. So I'm sure you feel proud about that.
Yeah, and they did it on their own. That's another thing. God bless the child that got his own, and he did it. On his own. He was able to make his own connections, and I was shocked because I thought he was going to be something else. But he wound up being a big wig in the music industry, and like I said, I'm proud of. I'm waiting to see what he won't give me a hit though.
Hey, it's still time. It's still time. It's still time for that.
Maybe Lester could call him up and say, hook your father up or something.
Yo, look at that.
That's funny. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah. Listen,
anything's possible.
keep it in the family.
You got to get outside help, Lester.
Yeah, that's true too.
Sometimes
That's true.
like that. Yeah.
I'll give you his number. You say, listen, this is Lester from the radio station. Your father needs to hear.
There you go.
That's all.
Write it for him. Slip it under his bedroom door. Yeah. But listen, we're going to take a quick commercial identification break. We're going to hit a Blue Magic tune, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. This is Veronica, the producer, and I am the producer of Chopping It Up with Troy and Lester on...
Maybe that's the reason I don't know what to do. What's come over me? What's come over me?
Exactly. That's what I said.
Man, listen, I got one question for you, Ross.
Go ahead.
What did you do when y'all sang that song and women started throwing stuff up on the stage? Did you pick it up and wipe your face with it? Did you put it in your shirt pocket? Did you take it home with you? I didn't want to say that, Mr. Excitement.
I did, though. I did.
Lester, I always told the guys, I missed out on all the real fun,
Really?
The women we sing for now are senior citizens, so I don't want them throwing anything at me.
You stupid.
Yo!
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
I love my senior citizens though; they're sexy too, but I don't want them throwing anything at me. No, thank you.
You see,
Man.
that was going to be the next question. It's like, what was the clout like being in such a legendary group?
Well, let me say this to you. Being in Blue Magic, people treat you different. I get introduced to people, and they'll say, "Hey, this is Ross. Hey, how you doing?" And they say, "Okay, he's with Blue Magic." Oh, really? Hey, how are you? The whole persona and attitude change. So it's something about Blue Magic that meant so much to people that when they get a chance to meet somebody who was actually affiliated with that group, it's had its own magical moment in a sense. And I can't say I didn't like it. I love it when people really appreciate what you do. And I'm glad that you can make people happy by doing what you do. So it's a blessing on both sides, for me as well as for the fans. So yeah, it's something that Smokey Robinson said it best. It's a feeling you get on stage that you can't get anywhere else, and that is so true. That is so true because when you're not performing and you're not at the ladies hollering and screaming and clapping for you and some throwing things at you as you put it, you feel lost. That's why you
Okay.
see a lot of guys, they won't give it up. Let me look at Cliff Perkins. He's 75. He's still out there doing it, but he looks good. He sounds good. So I'm not mad at him. But it's hard to let go of that. How you're treated, how you looked at, and the fact that you're able to bring these emotions out of people, and men too. You got a lot of guys who love those records as well, and bring back memories for them as well. So it's all of a positive mode, making people happy by doing something you love to do. You can't get that feeling anywhere else. So I'm truly blessed, and I'm thankful that I had a chance to get a taste of that.
Do you
Right.
notice? Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lester. Go ahead.
Do you know this singer by the name of Boombox Fred from Fred Harley?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah, he lives in Brooklyn, right there by South Shore High School.
Okay.
Him and his partner, they had a lot of hits, and back then he knew like James Brown and all these people,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate that the black artists, they got their music stolen. His music
Yeah.
is being played in England and all these places, like, and it's gone wild, but they never got any of the royalties. So I see him all the time, talk to him, and he still got that. If you Google Boombox Fred, that boombox with the record player in it, he still has it, and it still works. He was the first kid in Brooklyn to walk around with that boombox.
Wow.
So we were outside and walking around, and then he went somewhere to some kind of show, and all of a sudden, all these white people started looking at him, and they're like, "I think that's him. I know it's him." So this young white kid came up. He said, "Excuse me, sir." So Fred said, "Yes, how are you?" He said, "Are you Fred Harley?" He said, "Yes." Yo, the dude pulled out a book and said, "This is you. When you were young, I knew it was you." Yo, he had to sign autographs. People took pictures. I was like, "Fred," he goes, "Les, they stole all our music. There's nothing we could do about it." And you can Google him, and his music is out there, and he gets no royalties from it. None.
And Lester, there's a lot of unsung heroes out here. This music business, a lot of people say, it's one of the sleaziest businesses around. And in certain cases it is.
Yeah.
But it has its good and bad side, Unfortunately, like I said, there's a lot of unsung heroes out there who deserve a lot of credit. And speaking of books, Wendell Sawyer has a book out now about his journey with Blue Magic. Cliff Perkins just got his book out now with his journey with Soul Generation. So a lot of the up and coming fans and the younger people, they can read them and learn the history on how a lot of these artists were treated, and the accomplishments that they made, and the fact that they're still around too. Blue Magic lost two members, Keith Beaton, my mentor who got me to go, and brother Richard Pratt. Richard Pratt came to my house before I met up with Keith, and he wanted me to sit with his group. So I had two shots at being at Blue Magic, and it didn't pan out with Richard, but it panned out with Keith, and the rest is history. So yeah, there's a lot of information out there that you can get from these giants in the music industry, and you can learn a lot that you won't get anywhere else. I guess through their books as well. Yes.
Yeah, that's Harley and Johnson. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right before you speak, Mr. Excitement, our producer, and she just texted me, and I said, "No, I'm not going to say this unless your husband say it's okay." So I got the okay. She wants me to let you know that she's a sexy young senior citizen. That's our producer.
Go ahead, Ronnie. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Excitement. Take it away.
Hey, man, nothing wrong with that.
Michael,
Nothing wrong with that.
Tell them about the sexy senior citizen. No, what happened was I said that at that show I did in Long Island, my first show. I said that, and I started using it. So every time when I come out, I say, "How's my sexy seniors doing?" And they just crack up laughing, and they're really proud of themselves when they come out. They look good. They're dolled up. And I kind of let them know you're still looking good out there. So don't let nobody stop you. That's where the sexy senior citizen came. But it's hilarious what they say.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me just say thank you to Michael. I think Michael deserves a lot of credit, for me at least, because he's been instrumental in a lot of my things I do in my career, like this work, for instance. We've done all the shows together, so I gotta thank him, and I want to say to him in front of the people that Michael is a good guy. I really appreciate all that he's done with me. I gotta say that.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. You know, it's funny that this is off the cuff, right? Where Ross grew up at, I went to nursery school where he grew up at. In New York Boulevard, long time ago in 1970s, man. That's like I just thought it was funny, so that's why I mentioned it.
Wow.
The world is small, brother. The world is small.
It is. It is. And Ross, I don't know if you, I guess we talked about this in the past, but so our whole thing with Blue Magic, my first concert that I did in 2005 was with Ted Wizard Mills, the original lead singer for Blue Magic. So, it's kind of like, we crossed paths in that kind of way, sort of, kind of, in a way. But I wanted to bring that up.
Same thing with Black Ivory too. You mentioned something about Black Ivory. That you got a chance to meet them early on too.
Yeah, no, I did. But the funny thing is, I didn't even know they were singers. At that particular time, I didn't know they were singers and stuff like that. Because I think they did do Soul Train, and I know they did Soul, which was on PBS back in like 1971, 72. Back then I was like 6 years old, man. So I really don't remember. But yeah, man, we kind of all have like it's something there with all of us, man. When we all respect each other. But for me, it's appreciation for all the things that you've done musically, and not just being great musicians and singers, but just being great people.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. So, Lester, what's your favorite Blue Magic song?
Oh man, I'm glad you said that. We're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna put it on right now. So hold.
Alone. You cannot do this alone. I could not have gotten where I got by myself. And when you got people like Michael and people like Lester who are helping you out with what you're doing, you got to be thankful. You got to be blessed, and you got to let people know that you appreciate them. A lot of people get things they don't look back and reciprocate. But one thing about me, I reciprocate. I let people know, that I appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate you, Lester. Appreciate Michael. Appreciate Lester.
Thank you.
Appreciate your boss calling in, talking about he's a sexy senior citizen.
Don't forget about my boy Troy, New York. Now.
Right.
We're just gonna try to keep people happy, and put this good music out and performance out. We'll see where it goes from here.
Really appreciate that, man. You get it over to MrExcitement, and if he can get over to us, it'll be another happy interview just like this. Really greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, you know what? We're going next week. I'm gonna start hitting people up and see if they're available. Matter of fact,